Galia. Tammy Sastabeg Cancher and Aber Tabak Tok Shaw anocht. The representation of the diaspora and our citizens in the north is long overdue, and the appropriateness of their right to vote in presidential elections is something that has been mentioned and put down in terms of the programme for government of Fine Gael and Labour, who talk about being a reforming government. And when the Constitutional Convention was established, the Taoiseach described it as a significant historic event in the political and democratic life of this country, which puts the people in their proper place at the very heart of the process, because it's to them that the Constitution of our country belongs. And I was at the Constitutional Convention. I think I attended every session except one, and it was a very uplifting process, even though the Constitutional Convention as set up by the government didn't go as far as Sinn Féin had proposed that it should go. But it did propose serious constitutional change, including this one, that is to extend voting rights in presidential elections to Irish citizens in the north, in the diaspora, and to those aged 16. And the government chose then to ignore it. The government broke the public commitment that they had made. Instead, they have chosen to put to citizens a referendum on an issue for which there is no public demand or urgency, and that is reducing the age of eligibility for candidates for the presidency to 21. No mad rush about doing that. We have a good president at the moment, and long may he live healthily. We have a huge amount of people scattered throughout the world, and the Constitutional Convention proposed that they should be accorded the vote, as should people in the north. Now, I think the failure, if we can just deal with the north, and I'm from the north, to extend voting rights to citizens there is a result of a deeply partitionist mindset. And many people there, and some of them came and spoke at the Constitutional Convention, many people will feel very, very let down at this government's U-turn on this issue. President Michael D. Higgins, Mary Robinson before him, Mary McAleese before him, spoke and acted as presidents of all of this island. It's not an accident that when Queen Elizabeth came to the north, the president was there, because he is the president of Ireland, not just, as it is in some mindsets, the 26 counties, but president of the island of Ireland. And that's how our presidents are regarded by citizens there also, even those from a unionist background. Agus is féidir le báil Fornia Uachtaráin, Ardwaha, no an dún, Imirch, a park an Crokic, agus Cléhi Cianas, Ella Erin, a Bwint, agus Bula, le Uachtaráin na Hurin. Ach ní féidir leo Vótála den Uachtaráin, ní féidir leo Vótála de Mary McAleese nuair a bhí siad an sin le Tyrone sílam agus Ardwaha. Agus tá sé sa leir go bhfuil seo mí ceart. If President McAleese had still been living in her native Belfast at the time of her election, she could not have voted for herself. Martin McGuinness couldn't vote for himself. So you had this strange situation where the president of the island in Croke Park at a time when Tyrone was playing Armagh, none of them, neither the president or any of the players, all Ireland competitors, all stars, didn't have a vote, as Irish as anyone on any part of the world. So it's very, very irrational and illogical. And Sinn Féin isn't just looking for voting rights for Republicans or nationalists. If unionists want to exercise that, they should. If unionists want to put forward a unionist for the presidency, they will also have the right to exercise that entitlement. And the decision of the Constitutional Convention to extend voting rights was really, really important emotionally, because it was recognition to people in the north that this convention of citizens from this state recognised that they were part of the nation. And the nation isn't the state. The nation is the nation. It's wider and bigger and more important, arguably, than any state. So there is a unique historic opportunity to end this disenfranchisement of immigrants and to do something concrete about involving citizens in the North in the political life of this state. We actually, in the course of the Good Friday Agreement negotiations, and then subsequently I and others negotiated with the then Taoiseach Bertie Ahern to allow MPs to come in here to speak on dedicated issues and in the interests of that sense that they couldn't, of course, vote on or use anything other than speaking rights. But that again, of course, the government of today reneged on that also. And I think the two biggest failures of successive Dublin governments is bound up in the failure to deal with immigration. In fact, the willingness to embrace immigration as a policy option for government, and also the failure to end partition, or even to have a strategy for ending partition. And now, when a strategy has been devised to end partition under the terms of the Good Friday Agreement, we don't even have a government which is happy to advance that strategy and to build upon it. And the embracing of immigration has long been the policy of successive governments, because it's a great safety valve. 500,000 people have been forced to emigrate in 8 years. 500,000 from a tax base of 2.5 million. So 500,000 potential taxpayers are out of the place. Bright, committed, young people mostly, with huge potential, who could be a bulwark against the type of social change and inequality which this government has brought in. So it's little wonder the government's happy to see young people scattered throughout the world. Brian Lanahan Sr. in 1987 commented, on this issue, "We cannot all live on a small island." Why not? Because government policy doesn't allow us all to live on a small island. And the argument put forward by successive governments for the failure to deliver on voting rights that citizens abroad have no longer sufficient connections with their home country, it's disgraceful, it's patently untrue. But this is the government which doesn't put up those. This is the government which will say, well, we support this. We support the recommendations of the Constitutional Convention. This is the government which will disembark. I'll be there myself, but will disembark to the four corners of the world to meet with the diaspora to celebrate our national feast day. And most of the people that ministers will meet would never have left if it hadn't been for the economic policies of this government and its Fianna Fáil and PD and Green Party predecessors. So, if this government was serious about bringing our immigrants home, it would first of all give them a stake in their country by giving them a vote. And there is a new generation of immigrants fighting back. Organisations such as We're Coming Back are actively campaigning for voting rights for the Irish abroad. And incidentally, more than 120 other states have legislated for their citizens living outside their home state to cast their votes. We're outside of the international trend. Once again, there's been the right of people, and we see it exercised in this country, people who have come here voting in their elections at the appropriate time. The government launched its diaspora policy last week. Government ministers will next week be highlighting this in various parts of the world, but they have absolutely abdicated any responsibility on these crucial issues. And when I previously challenged the Taoiseach to review his decisions, he arrogantly claimed that people would be put off. The people are stupid. They'd be put off by too many referendums being held on the same day, that they wouldn't understand what's before them, that they would need more time, and anyway, maybe they aren't that interested in referendums at all. That's the Taoiseach's attitude to the citizens who actually he's supposed to serve in here. So we favour a reserved Dáil constituency for its citizens in the north and the diaspora. This would allow the government to deal with voting rights with limited disruptions to the current electoral system. So the government should now drop all of its lame excuses, deliver voting rights in presidential elections for Irish immigrants, citizens in the North, and no citizens aged 16 and upwards, as the Constitutional Convention has recommended you should.